Stop scrolling. Because what you're about to hear right now, this very second, is not drama. It is the collapse of a woman's entire life, caught on FBI screens, courtroom speakers, and deleted phone backups she thought would never return. Tonight, everything Wendy Osefo built, her image, her brand, her marriage, her reputation, shattered in one brutal moment. It started in that silent courtroom. A silence so heavy that even the judge's breath felt loud. And then, FBI stood up. No hesitations. No mercy. Your Honor, these are the leaked text messages recovered from Dr. Wendy Osefo's deleted phone backups. The moment those words hit the room, people stopped breathing. Wendy froze. Her eyes filled with tears. Her hands trembled so hard the table shook. And then the screen lit up. The words that flashed. Destroyed her. We need to file the claim before they find out. Amount double ho Jaega. Don't tell Eddie, he'll panic. Make sure the pictures look damaged enough. I can't lose this money. Gasps. Screams. Phones dropping. Wendy's own parents crying in the back row. But the real explosion came when the audio played. Just send the photos. Nobody will know. The courtroom erupted. Reporters ran out the door. Twitter crashed. TikTok went insane. YouTube gossip channels went into emergency mode. And Eddie? The man she swore would always stand by her? He read the final leaked text. Once this money comes through, Eddie doesn't need to know where it came from. He slowly, silently, removed his wedding ring. Wendy collapsed screaming, "Eddie, please." "No." And the judge delivered the final blow. "Dr. Osefo, the court has serious concerns about your credibility." "Boss, this wasn't a scandal. This was the funeral of a reputation. This is the story the world is not prepared for. And it starts right now." When the courtroom doors slammed shut behind Eddie, it felt like the whole world shifted. People didn't see a man walking out. They saw the final piece of Wendy's life slipping through her fingers. Inside, Wendy sat in a crumpled heap. Her breathing shaky, her hands trembling, mascara smudged across her cheeks like battle scars. The judge ordered a brief recess, but no one moved. Reporters refused to leave their seats. Camera crews stayed locked in position. Even the gallery, normally buzzing with whispers, sat frozen, as if everyone sensed something worse was coming. Wendy kept staring at the empty doorway where Eddie had disappeared. It looked like she expected him to turn back, but he didn't. And in that agonizing silence, the prosecutor quietly closed a folder and stepped forward. "Your Honor," he said calmly, "before we proceed, the FBI has one more document to present." You could hear Wendy's breath hitch. Her lawyer reached out, shook his head, and whispered, "Don't react. Whatever happens next, don't react." But Wendy already felt the walls closing in. The prosecutor held up a USB. "The contents of this drive," he said, "were retrieved from a cloud backup Dr. Osefo attempted to delete manually. The deleted files were recovered by federal forensics." A reporter whispered, "She's done, not even trying to hide it." The judge nodded. "Proceed." The screen lit up again. This time, not with texts, but with folders. Folders labeled dates, locations, insurance claim numbers, photos, audio, and one folder whose name made the entire court sit forward. Instructions. The prosecutor clicked it open. Inside were 6 screenshots. 6 messages Wendy had thought were wiped forever. The first one appeared. "Make sure the receipts match the timeline. They check everything." The second. "Use the older pics too. It needs to look ongoing." Wendy's mouth fell open. Her hands shook against her lap. She mouthed, "No. No. That's not mine. That's not." But the third message silenced her. "If this works, we'll get the payout before the audit." A gasp rolled through the gallery like an earthquake. Wendy's mother started crying again, louder this time, shoulders heaving with deep, broken sobs. The prosecutor kept going, voice steady, almost merciless. "There's more." Click. The fourth message. "We need a different angle. The last ones don't look convincing." Click. The fifth. "Keep everything encrypted. Eddie can't see this." "Stop." Wendy shouted, almost falling forward. "Stop. That's not the truth. Those messages are being twisted. This is not the full conversation. This is..." Her lawyer tugged her down with force. "Wendy, sit down." She collapsed back into her seat, shaking uncontrollably. But nothing could prepare her for the 6th and final message. The prosecutor hesitated. Even he knew this one was different. He clicked. A single line filled the screen. "If this blows up, I'll say it was you." The courtroom didn't gasp. It didn't shout. It didn't scream. It simply died. Because this wasn't just insurance fraud allegations. This wasn't risky behavior. This wasn't bad judgment. This was betrayal. Cold. Calculated. Personal. The implication was clear. Wendy had tried to frame someone else. And that someone was Eddie. Wendy let out a sound, half scream, half sob. "I didn't write that." You don't understand. That message is not mine. But the prosecutor was ready. He held up his hand. No one said you wrote it, Dr. Osefo. He clicked again. A metadata window appeared. Her device, her login, her timestamp, her IP, and her voice recording tied to the same day. The room erupted. People stood up. Phones went flying to record reactions. A blogger yelled, "This is crazier than Jen Shah." Someone else shouted, "She tried to frame her own husband?" Wendy slammed her fists on the table, crying violently. "That's a lie. That's a lie. You don't know what was happening that night." Her voice broke into a sob. "I would never throw Eddie under the bus. Never." But her cries drowned under the chaos. The judge pounded the gavel. "Order. Order in this court." It took nearly a full minute for silence to return. And when it did, the prosecutor delivered the next blow. "Your Honor, there is one more folder." Wendy choked on her own breath. Her lawyer froze. The judge exhaled. "Open it." The prosecutor clicked the folder labeled Photos. The first image appeared. A damaged item. Cracked. Bent. Scratched. But there was something wrong. The photo metadata showed it had been taken 3 weeks before the date on the insurance claim form. Reporters went wild. The second image flashed, another damaged item, but the background showed a different house. Not Wendy's. Not Eddie's. "Your Honor," the prosecutor said, "the FBI believes these photos were staged." Wendy screamed again, breaking apart completely. You don't know what was happening in my life then." But then came the final photo. The one that ended her. A picture of the same item in perfect condition. Untouched. Pristine. Time-stamped 2 days after the damage incident. It wasn't just fraud. It was fabrication. Manipulation. Deception. Wendy collapsed in her seat, hand over her mouth, tears streaming uncontrolled. Her chest heaved. She looked like she couldn't breathe. Her lawyer whispered, "Don't faint. Don't faint. They'll say it's an act." But Wendy wasn't acting. She was breaking. The judge leaned forward. "Dr. Osefo, is there anything you would like to say before we proceed?" Wendy looked up. Broken. Defeated. Destroyed. Her voice came out in a whisper. "My children." The judge frowned. "What about them?" Wendy wiped her face with the back of her hand, choking on each word. "They can't see this. Please. They can't watch their mother fall apart like this. Not like this." It was tragic. Raw. Human. And still, not enough to soften the courtroom. The prosecutor stepped back. "No further questions, Your Honor. But we do have a witness prepared to testify in the next session." The judge nodded. "Then we will reconvene after lunch." The gavel dropped. Wendy didn't move. Everyone else did. People raced out to post, tweet, upload, record, scream. Wendy Osefo caught in new leaks. FBI exposes second set of messages. She tried to frame Eddie? This is the darkest housewives scandal ever. Outside, the world was burning. Inside, Wendy sat alone. Hands shaking. Face wet. Life falling apart in slow motion. And this was still not the end. The courtroom returned from recess with a tension thick enough to choke on. People weren't walking back to their seats. They were rushing, terrified they might miss the next bomb. Because after the photos, after the texts, after the audio, there was still one more person the FBI wanted to bring forward. A witness. A witness no one expected. Wendy sat hunched over the table, barely holding herself upright. She looked hollow, a shadow wearing her skin. Her hands kept clutching the fabric of her blazer, as if trying to stop herself from shaking. Her lawyer whispered, "No matter who walks in next, do not react." But Wendy wasn't hearing him anymore. Her ears still rang from Eddie's voice reading the message that had destroyed her marriage. Every time she blinked, she saw him slipping off the ring. And now, a witness? The gallery doors opened. Cameras clicked instantly. People stood. A murmur rippled through the room. Wendy lifted her head and froze. Because walking through the doors was her own assistant. A soft gasp rolled through the benches. The assistant, Mia Dillard, looked terrified. Not dramatic. Not performance-ready. She carried a folder in her hands like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Wendy's lips parted. A tiny broken no escaped her throat before she could stop it. Her lawyer grabbed her wrist. Do not speak. But the damage was already done. Everyone had heard her. The prosecutor stood tall. "Your Honor, the FBI calls Ms. Mia Dillard to the stand." Mia avoided Wendy's gaze as she walked past. She looked guilty, ashamed, like someone who had tried and failed to keep a secret buried. She was sworn in. The prosecutor didn't waste time. "Ms. Dillard, can you please state your relationship to Dr. Wendy Osefo?" Mia swallowed. I was her assistant. Past tense. That alone made the room tremble. Wendy whispered, "Why are you doing this?" under her breath, trembling violently. Her lawyer shot her a look that could kill. The prosecutor clicked a pen. "Ms. Dillard, Did you ever observe Dr. Osefo discussing or preparing insurance claims? Yes, Mia whispered. A camera shutter snapped so loud the judge flinched. And what was the nature of those discussions? Mia hesitated, looked at Wendy, immediately looked away. Wendy, Dr. Osefo asked me to take photos. The air left the room. What kind of photos? The prosecutor asked. Mia's eyes filled with tears. Damaged items. Scratches. Cracks. Things that didn't match the actual condition. Wendy slammed her palm on the table. That's a lie. Her lawyer grabbed her shoulders. Wendy, stop. But she couldn't. Not anymore. You're turning on me? After everything I did for you. Wendy cried, pointing a shaking finger at Mia. The judge slammed the gavel. One more outburst and I will have you removed from this courtroom. Wendy collapsed back, sobbing silently. The prosecutor continued. Wendy collapsed back, sobbing silently. The prosecutor continued, voice cold and sharp. Ms. Dillard, did Dr. Osefo ever instruct you to edit or alter these photos? Mia nodded weakly. Yes. How? Filters. Adjusting brightness to make damage look worse. Zooming in so the background couldn't be identified. Cropping out reflections. She told me exactly what to do. People gasped. Journalists scribbled like mad. But then came the biggest blow. Miss Dillard, did Dr. Osefo ever mention her husband, Eddie, in relation to these claims? Mia closed her eyes. Yes. How so? The pause stretched forever. She told me, if things went wrong, she would say Eddie sent the photos. The courtroom exploded. Wendy screamed, that is not true, so loudly the microphones cracked. Her voice was raw, unfiltered, animalistic. Mia began crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but I can't lie anymore. The prosecutor walked closer. Did you ever confront Dr. Osefo about the risk? Yes. And what did she say? Mia inhaled shakily. She said, I handle narratives for a living. I'll handle this too. You could hear hearts breaking in the room. Wendy collapsed forward, burying her face in her hands. Her shoulders shook violently. Her sobs echoed off the wooden panels. She looked destroyed. The prosecutor returned to his table and opened a small rectangular box. Inside was a pink, glittery USB. Familiar. Too familiar. Ms. Dillard, does this belong to you? Mia nodded tearfully. Yes. And what is stored on this drive? Mia covered her mouth with her hand. Voicemails. Draft emails. Screenshots I took because I was scared. Notes she made me write. Notes? The prosecutor repeated. Mia nodded again. She dictated them to me. Wendy's head snapped up. I did not. Dr. Osefo, the judge barked, another outburst and I will hold you in contempt. Wendy froze in place, breath shaking, tears streaming, body trembling uncontrollably. The prosecutor inserted the USB into the court laptop. A single audio file appeared. Wendy _ draft 1.m4a. Wendy's soul left her eyes. Don't, she whispered. Please, please don't. The prosecutor hit play. Wendy's voice filled the courtroom. Just rewrite it. Make it sound professional. And if they ask, Eddie handled the photos. Reporters screamed. Fans in the gallery grabbed each other. People clutched their chests. Wendy threw her head back and cried out in agony. That was not for insurance. That was for a separate project. You're twisting everything. But the court wasn't listening. Every person in that room had already made up their mind. Every camera was pointed at her broken face. The judge exhaled heavily, then spoke, slow, deliberate, devastating. Dr. Osefo, the evidence presented today paints a deeply troubling picture. The court will be moving forward with a formal review of all claims associated with your name. Your credibility at this moment is substantially compromised. Wendy's body slumped. She didn't argue. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She just broke. Her lawyer touched her arm gently. Wendy, look at me. Hey, just breathe. But she didn't move. She whispered one sentence, barely audible, but enough to haunt the room. My kids can't see me like this. And then, for the first time since the hearing began, Wendy fainted. Her body hit the floor with a sickening thud. People screamed. Her mother wailed. Court officers rushed forward. It was chaos, pure, uncontrolled chaos. And outside, Twitter was already exploding. Wendy Osefo collapses in court. Assistant turns on Wendy, the USB of doom. Eddie walked out. And now this? The biggest housewives downfall ever caught on camera. The world wasn't just watching a scandal. It was watching a woman's life crumble in real time. And the worst part? This wasn't the final hearing. This was only the beginning. If you're still breathing after what just happened inside that courtroom, then brace yourself, because this story is not over. What you just heard wasn't a finale. It was a warning shot. A collapse. A disaster unfolding in slow motion. Wendy fainted on the cold courtroom floor, but the fallout outside those walls is only getting louder. Right now, FBI agents are preparing the next phase of evidence. Witnesses who stayed silent before are suddenly coming forward. And Eddie? Sources say he didn't go home after leaving the courtroom. He went somewhere else. Somewhere shocking. Somewhere connected to the case. And the assistant's USB? We're hearing whispers that it wasn't the only one. Because apparently, there are 2 more drives out there. Drives that contain emails, draft contracts, voicemails that were never meant to surface. And one file insiders are already calling. The message that ends everything. So before you scroll away, listen carefully. This is the kind of scandal Bravo will never air. This is the footage producers don't have, but the FBI does. And the biggest twist? A new witness is preparing to testify next week. Someone who walked into Wendy's house. Someone who sat at her table. Someone who knows the truth nobody else has said out loud yet. If you think today was shocking, if you think the texts were wild, if you think the courtroom collapse was the end, boss, it's not even close. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. And stay with us. Because the next leak, the next witness, the next twist, might be the one that destroys what little Wendy has left. And you don't want to miss it.